is that Ghana now begins heavy military cooperation along with the border with Burkina Faso, as agreed by both countries, as military presence is noticed on both sides from for cross-border security. So, according to the information we received in the morning yesterday, the last day of February, there was heavy military presence that was seriously very, very conspicuous on both border. There were military presence on the Ghanaian border. There were military presence in the Burkinabe border. And the reason why this is happening is because they recently signed a defense agreement after the attack on Titao. And according to the information that we had, Ghana is willing to stay on the southern side of their own block to make sure that there is no cross-border terrorist activity between Ghana and Burkina Faso, so that the citizens of Ghana that want to go into Burkina Faso will cross in safety, and the citizens of Burkina Faso that have families in Ghana, they can cross safely. So I love this development that is going on between Ghana and Burkina Faso. Just know that next to them is Togo, and Burkina Faso already has a cross-border security agreement with Togo too. So along the Togo-Ghana corridor right now, I think everywhere as soon as possible will be Delta Hotel. And according to information, recently there have been multiple jihadist casualty in this region, and now we are having big military buildup along that corridor. And this only means that Ghana is not all talks in this business. I mean, Ghana just this whole Titao event happened on the 14th of February, which was the so-called Valentine Day, and Ghana did not really go into talking or inviting international partners or talking about launching an investigation. When ECOWAS was approached, the next thing ECOWAS did was to say that they wanted to launch an investigation into the attack that happened. They did not do anything of considerable importance to address the issue. ECOWAS said they wanted to launch an investigation into the attack, but Ghana did not care about no investigation. What Ghana did straight away was to send deployment to the Ghanaian position towards the Burkinabe border, and in turn, Burkina Faso sent troops too to block the border so that everywhere will be Delta Hotel and citizens can do their activities in safety. And I love this move. This is how it should be, because if we all look at what is going on right now globally, if Africa is not careful, I don't know what the future is. Because when you look at the level of division in Africa, I mean, you look at this country abhorring terrorists, that country abhorring terrorists, and you look at the development right now all over the world, it will be very, very bad if Africa does not unite and remove the invincible borders. The only reason why the terrorists are able to hide in this country, that country, is because there are some things called invincible borders that are not supposed to exist. Now, according to information, they said they don't know, they cannot specify how long this operation between Ghana and Burkina Faso is going to last, but there was an agreement. And this is the onset of the security agreement, and we're already seeing build up. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a question of how long will it last? What will the results be? So, in case of that, we'll continue to monitor the development and bring you the information uh, as the information continue to drop. Yes, they are not problems in regions that don't have resources. They've never been there because there is no interest in those regions. They don't have strategic resources that can draw foreign interest. You understand? So places where there are no investments, people can have parties. And when you look at the region where this terrorism happened, these are local areas where you have scanty buildings. Now, scanty buildings means more geological findings. You can't come to the cities, the urban areas, and do this because there are houses everywhere. So they don't even care about the urban areas. Go and look at every state that terrorism has, plunged everything into a disastrous situation right now. If you check, it's in the villages, and it is the villages that you have most of this mining operation going on. It's in those local communities. That is where the mining operation are going on. And if you check properly, that is where you have scanty houses, you have less development. So these are the places that can still be excavated and all of that. Go and check everywhere carefully. The northern Ivory Coast, northern Benin, northern Ghana. Northern Ghana is even a little bit better, but there are still some, bushes all around. You go to northern Nigeria, you know. So the lesser the development, the more the terrorists, because the people that wants to use the land will definitely come. And based on my opinion, I've been thinking, would redistribution of land to the citizen be a better idea? I don't know. You can give us your opinion in the comment section below on what you think. Now, we are still on the cross-border security arrangement, how beneficial it is. Because we're going to go to Libya right now. Libya has not stopped. Now, the situation in Libya is very, very unusual. It's not the regular security situation that we used to know. Okay? The situation that we used to know in Africa, first of all, before we get to the situation in Libya, is a situation where an attack is going on, and when the troops are being asked that what are you standing and waiting right there for, they're going to tell you they've not gotten orders from their commanders. They have not gotten order from their top military brass to engage. So they are going to stand down, right? I understand that military works with orders, but if what you swore an oath to do, or you promise to dedicate your life for, is to protect the people. Now, when the people are getting gutted en masse, right, what do? Just stay right there, and because you've not gotten orders, you continue to stay right there. I know, very sad situation. But in Libya, we are seeing multiple offensives being launched in Libya. In fact, these offensives have gone to a point where along the Libyan border, some days ago, multiple equipment were captured, terrorists were captured. And the way this operation has always been, it's day to night. Now, Libya has opened new offensive with deployment of new capabilities. And today we are seeing, according to report, it said the border between Niger and Libya, the first documented use of an FPV drone by the Libyan operators was recorded. The attack was carried out against remnants of Wadak group. That's the name of the group. And according to information, these locations are being used by the MPLJ terrorist group and the FLA terrorist group that comes from within the Libyan border. So, scattered around the desert area as part of the border cross-border security. After the FPV attack, 5 militants surrendered and several were KIA. The commanders left them without supply, water, and food, which effectively broke their resistance. So, this is Libya not giving a fly about, about if there is IED, if there is going to be some trap sets somewhere or mines. The Libyan forces are going on the offensive. And guess what? The strange part of this mission is that he's being led by Marshal, after himself. That is the leader of a country leading offensives on the front line. The last time I saw something like this happen was in Chad. That was the father of this Itno, right? Idrissa Deby himself. But I don't know what to say about Itno Jr. or whatever his name is. But I think his father was a real one. His father was always on the front line leading the advance against the jihadists. So what we are having in Libya right now is a situation where Libya might be trying to clear, any type of illegal activity going on in their country so as to open up new opportunities. Now, if this cleanup is going to be in the interest of certain people that control Libya or that have interests in Libya, if this is going to be in their interest, that Libya becomes a safe place again, that is a story for another day. I can't really attest to that because I don't live in their mind. I don't know what they are thinking. Because if the objective was to keep Libya, very, very low, because the first time we saw an attempt to almost unify Africa, it came from Libya. To almost unify Africa. And that unification was coming from a place of overwhelming financial strength. It was coming from a place of overwhelming military strength. Libya was going to be one of the greatest at the time. And the people that have interest in Africa, they saw that if Libya emerged with their plan and Africa unites, it was going to be against their interests. They had to take Libya back to the Stone Age. The irrigation plan, the unified plan to have Africa spending one currency, the economic plan for Africa, the blueprint, the green print, the black print, everything was destroyed. And now that, I don't know if Marshall After that is carrying out this operation, I don't know if he has orders to do it, or I don't know if he's just doing this because he wants his country to be great once again. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is another beautiful development coming out of Libya. And the good side is that, they are keeping it clean between Libya and Niger Republic. So, this only means one thing, that Niger Republic might be coming under, a sort of might be coming under less attack, right, from the northern side of Niger. They have heavy military presence there, but it's not likely that there will be a lot of military engagements coming from that side. Definitely, they can pay attention to the southern border of Niger Republic, which is with Nigeria and Benin. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes us to our next information, which is a military operation that just went down between Niger and Nigeria. What happened? 40 jihadists have been KIA. And these jihadists are the jihadists from the Boko Haram sect. The same Boko Haram, yes, that have been rehabilitated and repented in Nigeria. I don't know what type of development that is. Niger is not repenting them. Niger is neutralizing them. 40 were neutralized. 10 were captured. But at the time when they took them to the detention camp, information said that 8 made it to the detention camp. Okay, that was 50 casualty, 40 KIA, 10 captured. But according to information, only 8 made it to the detention camp, making the KIA 42. So that means that from that 10, 2 were possibly wounded in action. Maybe they lost blood and all of that, and they couldn't make it to the camp. So, according to information, Niger neutralizes 40 Boko Haram troops as Nigerian forces maintain heavy military presence along the Niger-Nigerian border. For me, what I think is this is how to maintain the real war footing, because that is what Niger has promised, that they are preparing for a full engagement with whoever they mentioned. Oh, brother Omar, welcome to the house. Welcome to the house. A lot of things are happening as we speak. A lot is going on right now all over the world. And anybody that have been studying what is going on in the Middle East, you will discover that your neighbors are going to be the launch pad. Your neighbors happens to be the launch pad for whatever destruction So if we have a build-up in Nigeria, very close to the Alliance of Sahel States, if we have gradual build-up in Nigeria, we don't know. We wouldn't be able to tell what the intentions are. But a lot of Nigerians continue to call for the US to leave the country very, very quick. And why are they calling for the US to leave? This is happening in the northern Nigeria. I don't know how safe it would be for them over time. They are calling for them to leave because of the attack on Iran yesterday. Okay? That's what happened. And any Nigerian in the house know that this is what happens in the north. When the attack on Gaza happened, they were protesting all over the north. In fact, they protested to the point that they started attacking Christians. The northern Nigeria is a very fanatic environment. And another protest I've just started that the US should leave Nigeria. At least they said they should leave they should leave their territory. If they will leave, we don't know. If the Nigerian government will suppress the movement, we don't know. But we'll continue to monitor the situation and we'll continue to bring information out. So now that's a good report happening from Niger to be able to stop whatever is coming from within the enemy territory to Niger, because we found out that most of the Boko Haram used to come from Katsina State, come from Borno State, come from Bauchi, come from Kebbi State, extravasate into Niger Republic. Once the steam is very, very hot, maybe in Operation Fasanyama, Operation Adinkai, they run into Niger Republic. And it's not like they run into Niger, like run into. They hide in some of the bushes along the territory and they run back once they discover that their covers have been blown up. So that is the situation we've been having over time, but there is a lot of development going on right now. I think if Africa knows what is good for them, it's better they unite now. I think there is a global war that is being fought, but the tools that is being used in Africa are these so-called terrorists. Yes, people are losing their lives. We've just dropped a video on our Telegram channel, it's less than an hour now, about the situation developing in Nigeria. And what is this situation about? Several Nigerians have been KIA'd in the north yesterday. Yes, several Nigerians, and the body are already, carefully placed for mass burial. If you go to our Telegram channel, you will actually see the bodies there. So the US troops are on the ground. There are no improvements. Okay, so we'll continue to monitor the situation and see if there is any reasonable thing that is going to happen. But we called it, we saw it, we manifested the whole thing that if anything, there is only going to be intensification of attack. And what have we seen recently? The terrorists are continuing, to take bases that have been claimed by the Nigerian forces. They are taking back those bases at God's speed. Where are their intels coming from? How come the terrorists is so much aware of the number of troops they have in each of the Nigerian military camp? According to the information we received, right, the last attack in Mandara, the last attack on a certain military base, they said they came triple-fold the number. According to information, there were about 70-something Nigerian soldiers there. They came 3 times the number. So, and when you look at the way they deploy, I'm talking about these so-called jihadists, they blow up tanks, they blow up everything, and they recover equipment. According to one of the soldiers, he says sometimes the Boko Haram is not even coming because they want to take, you understand, that they're not coming because they want to take the base, that they are coming just to humiliate the soldiers. The situation is desperate. A soldier, he says sometimes these terrorists are not coming to take that base. No, they just want to show you that we're around, and they just want to humiliate you. You know, he said in the military, you don't say you ran from the terrorists. You say you is it tactical fallback, or yes, he said tactical fallback. He said, but the terrorists want to put you on the run. So that language of tactical fallback, you remove it from the equation. So if the deal with the United States was that the US troops are going to come in and they are going to give, you know, reconnaissance intel, they are going to give coordinates, they are going to give a lot when it comes to intelligence, reconnaissance, and surveillance to the Nigerian troops, and they are going to collaborate with the air, capabilities so that Nigeria can have good result on the line of contact. And what we are having now is increasing bad results. Then, I mean, Nigeria needs to have a rethink. Nigeria as a country needs to have a rethink. If you are a Nigerian and you are watching, I'm just giving you my piece. You need to look into the details of your agreement. Agreement is agreement, but once the terms of the contract is no longer beneficial to one side, right? I think the side that is getting less benefits should start talking, because you had a deal, and the deal is security for mineral concession. Okay, the deal is intelligence, we are going to give you this, we are going to give you that, and in turn you are going to give the US rare earth mineral mining rights, lithium, cobalt, whatever, zinc, and all those things like that. So if that is what time it is, you have to sit them down and tell them, we are not getting, in fact, the result is getting worse. I don't know what type of negotiation this one is. If you have negotiation with someone that this is, and the person is making a promise that we can improve the security situation on the ground, you are going to see great results. We have the capability. I think these are the things that should be seriously talked about before the agreement was even made. Now the US troops are on the ground, boots are on the ground, capabilities are on the ground, and I think they are in two different locations. And when you look at the distance between the two different locations, they should be able to cover, if the whole reconnaissance, surveillance, and intelligence thing is very, very accurate, they should be able to cover the entire theaters of operation along the northeast and the northwest. So if instead of getting good results, what we are getting is a very, very bad result, then what are we talking about? So, but when you look at the situation surrounding the Nigerian government, it's a very, very sorry one. I'm sorry to the Nigerian in the house, but I am just telling you, the situation of your government is a very, very, in fact, is a shameful one. It's so is a pub. See, the Nigerian government situation right now is a public health concern. In fact, the name of your country is fast becoming a security threat. In terms of terrorism, how many Nigeria can travel from Lagos to Benin? Yes, you travel right now, or by road. I'm talking about by air. Nigerians started traveling by air not because it's easy or because it's more affordable. No, because they can no longer travel safely interstates. And how many states do you have in Nigeria? 36. So if in 36 states, you cannot guarantee that between this and this, you can move freely, can we say tactically that Nigeria is surrounded. Internally, Nigeria is surrounded. So whatever the US is saying, I don't think there is any possibility for a victory over terrorism inside Nigeria. Why? We have to look at the attrition rate and and the recruitment technique of the jihadists. They send a letter that they want to come and preach Sharia. They come in, they kidnap people, they get girls, they do a lot of things. Okay, Burkina Faso now owes 74% of their territory. 74%. Nigeria, I don't even think. Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Nelson. Thank you for the donation. I don't think Nigeria, right? That country called Nigeria, I don't think they owed 50% of their territory. Yes, 74%, as confirmed by the Minister of War in Burkina Faso. 74% now. It was previously 72%, and now they are in 74%. And this now, when we talk about this percentage, people are being returned to their home. This is what we are talking about. We are not talking about maybe territory that have been conquered and there are nobody living there. No. Citizens are back home. They are carrying out their agricultural jobs and whatever. Like, life has started again. People are back. The displaced people are back home. And they are not just back. There is a whole rapid intervention brigade sent there. A whole battalion has been sent there. VDPs have been sent there. New VDPs have been sent there. Gendarmes have been sent there. So it's like a new environment with all tools for survival, both economic, agriculture, whatever we can talk about. So that is what is going on in Burkina Faso. And Burkina Faso from within is creating a sort of multi-layered security build-up. Like from Ouagadougou, where you have the BIR-7 and some of the most dangerous BIR that you can find anywhere, you start having them, to BIR-30. Now, I just heard about the 29th and the 30th, and the 30th Rapid Intervention Brigade. I think after they made the announcement of the 74% territorial capture. Now, Burkina Faso, we tell you, according to their government, sources, they will tell you that the entire territory, they have presence there. But I'm talking about where they've captured. And when I talk about capture, I'm talking about complete domination. I'm talking about their boots on the ground. People are there carrying out their daily activities. Agriculture has started because the major occupation of the Burkinabes is agriculture. What did the Ghanaians go to Burkina Faso to do? To buy tomato. So in the future, does Burkina Faso look like a country that can defy isolation? Very, very well. Very, 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 very well. Because now Burkina Faso don't only have just one option again. They have Togo, they have Ghana, through which they can ship their things. They have Guinea, through the Mali corridor, right? They have Algeria. And possibly, if Libya continues with this intensification of assault on the jihadists and they can clean up, maybe Libya in the future. But the game is Burkina Faso has 74% of their territory, data hotel. But Nigeria, I can't even say this is the percent that Nigeria has. Now, for the Nigerians in the house, let me give you something. If you get out of Lagos, between Lagos and Ogun State, there are some village around the outskirts of Lagos, right? Getting to real Ogun State proper, there are heavy presence of armed militias with AK-47. One of our operatives recently was traveling along that axis, and he said they were deployed to those rural environments, and they saw these militias of a certain ethnic group carrying AK-47, and they saw the security operatives, but they were not worried. They owned the country. So the only reason why they've not captured Lagos is because, or they've not started attacking Lagos, is because, one, Lagos has almost all, the companies in Nigeria, heavy military presence, the police in Lagos. Like, Lagos is cream of the crop in Nigeria. Lagos, in fact, I don't know why they said Abuja is the capital of Nigeria. Lagos should be the capital of Nigeria in terms of anything you want to talk about. So, but outside Lagos, the infiltration is for real. So heavy, those guys are heavily armed. According to the man, he said he could not sleep all through the time they were there, that he was always awake. He could not sleep at night because the number of armed, I can't call them terrorists, but these are people from the same place where the terrorists have been recruited, and they are with AK-47. Some of them are wearing slings. But if a normal civilian from another ethnic group in Nigeria wears slings or whatever, the police are going to pick you up. But these people, they have the right to carry whatever capability they want to carry in Nigeria. So, can we now say that Nigeria is without terrorism? When you look at the number of KIA, then you know what's up. In Ondo State, they started taking out kings. Okay? Oh, thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. They've started taking out kings in Ondo State. In Oyo State, the attack has intensified. And Sunday Igboho has been deployed with his men, with the CGTF, with vigilantes, with soldiers, with police, with NSCDC. They've deployed everything with Sunday Igboho and his boys. That means the situation in Oyo State is equally kinetic. Nigeria is some shameless people within the country. They are hiding under the context of I'm a Yoruba, Tinubu is in power. Everywhere is not safe anymore. Remember the last time it was in Rivers State, where the jihadists went to the barrack of the Niger Delta militants and they engaged. The Niger Delta militants were shouting Asawana, the terrorists were shouting Allahu Akbar. At the end of the day, they were able to consume the terrorists completely. So it means the battle is at the doorstep. So people can continue to lie, people can continue to pretend, but the bodies that have just been dropped. Now, let me tell you one thing about Nigeria that you all don't know. You see the video we just dropped on our Telegram channel about the bodies of those that have just been KI'd. That is the ones that is good enough to show to the media. Now, that information was not from mainstream media. No, the media of Nigeria don't capture such. That is the locals, right? Giving you the update on what just happened. In fact, for some information to make it out in Nigeria, you have to know somebody. I can promise you that several people have been kidnapped yesterday, but they don't have a voice to let the world know that this is what is happening to us. They don't have the voice. Like, the situation is worse. In Nigeria, the situation is more dangerous than Burkina Faso and Niger altogether. And the reason why people don't really care is because of the population. Because the population is over 300 million. Off paper, off record, is over 300 million. I saw a woman day before yesterday who has over 14 children. One, in 2026. 14. We have young girls that are being questioned. How many do you want to give birth to? They will say, I will have 7. But I'm thinking 8 is a possibility. So when you look at the demography of Nigeria, it's not something that can be captured. And that is how easy giving birth is in Nigeria. A woman will be seated, and before you know, she has put to bed. It's so easy. So when you talk about the attrition rate of the terrorists in Nigeria, I don't know where that strategic defeat is going to come from. Because if they claim that majority of the population of Nigeria is from the north, and you have a very terrible education, you have healthcare is very bad. If you look at the schools, there was a school I saw, half of the walls like this is opened. Like if rain is falling, it will fall on the students. Right? The demography is good. No, when you talk about the demography of a country, I love this point now. Let's touch this point. The demography of the population of Nigeria is great if you have great leadership that can engage that growing population. Engage them whatever way possible. Peter Obi said Nigeria is the only country that has a vast amount of fertile land that is being left unused. Okay? So, what am I thinking? If there is a good leader, but just a leader that is going to go from the perspective of diplomacy is not going to be able to do it. We need somebody that is tough, because you have the most extremist, fanatical, clerics in the north. How do you tell them to stop preaching jihad, or what do they call it? The kinetic jihad. How do you stop them from preaching to those young kids? How do you tell them to stop the Almajiri school? So it's a lot of problem. And when you look at the level of poverty in the north, it's pathologic. It's pathologic. Once, even if you are taking sachet water, the sachet water, there is a kid already looking at you just for you to drop the nylon, and they are going to pick it up and they're going to drain whatever is left, even if there is nothing. So it's a well decorated situation to breed terrorism and chaos. So it's a good demography, but it's a dangerous demography at the same time. And if Nigeria falls, the entire region will explode. Because at least you don't get at all, you might be getting, let's say, over 20 million refugees. If they serve the whole West African, the Nigerian population, they won't even, what will happen to the economy of those people? So, we have another information coming out of Guinea. So, diplomacy have prevailed, right, over war. Guinea has returned 16 previously detained Sierra Leonean soldiers after negotiation. The Guinean regime has now released them. So the conditions of the soldiers released are not specified, because the initial report was that some of the soldiers, Sierra Leonean soldiers, were stabbed during the engagement with the Guinean security forces. So the conditions of these soldiers have not been specified. But right now, they have been released. And for those that have been dropping the rumor, okay, that Dumbuya is not safe, they don't know where he is, he's sick. Dumbuya is back to Guinea. Dumbuya is back to Guinea. I think it landed yesterday. So we've just put that rumor to rest. Okay. Now there is one particular information we will trash out today. There is this propaganda going on that people are building so much exaggeration around the success of Burkina Faso. And I want to use this opportunity to address that. But that will be after I'm done with my information. So we have somebody from South Africa talking about it. We have somebody, a lady from Kenya talking about it. We have a lady, a boy from Nigeria talking about it. Based on his accent, I was able to know that, okay, this is a Nigeria. So I am going to address that. Are people exaggerating? Are people not exaggerating? We will talk about it. According to information, there was a record of heavy exchange that went down in the Yaga community of Burkina Faso. According to information, there were several hours of fighting. And the jihadists flee the contact line after several casualties was recorded. That was in the Yaga community in Burkina Faso. Again, in Burkina Faso, several terrorists have been neutralized in the Goma area in the last 48 hours. Now, based on reports, they said it's the Goma area. I don't know if it's further on Goma. It's different. But what they called it is they said it's the Goma area. That several terrorists have been neutralized. Provisional toll from search operation reports 37 enemy KIA. Now, if there is 37 enemy KIA, there is a possibility that there is almost, let's say, 7 that fled the scene with bullet wounds. If there is 37 KIA, there is a possibility that that is not all the jihadists that came. And they fled the scene because the calculus of combat was already changing place. So they had to flee the scene. So what will happen to those jihadists when the narcotic that they've, embezzled, when the half-life is done? So when reality falls upon them, what would it be like? Though we have seen that some of these jihadists, they have scalp vein needle, they have water for injection, they have normal saline, they have dextrose. So we are dealing with people that are well trained, well supplied. Some people have even seen it as a source of income. So to stop all these things should take time. But we have a provisional toll of 37 coming out of Goma. Now, according to information, there was another clash in Suru. Dozens of terrorists neutralized in Suru, Burkina Faso during a sweeping bombardment of new terrorist camps in the Suru Valley. 10 terrorists were captured alive. So these 10 terrorists, their videos, is it video or picture, is on a certain platform on Telegram, but you cannot download the picture. Okay. That is the report coming out of Suru. Now, Suru has a very good record. Suru and Kanchari in Burkina Faso. I am talking about these 2 locations, Suru, Kanchari, and there is another place in Burkina Faso. The reason why I'm talking about these places is that I have seen 50. I've seen 70 KIA of terrorists in one day in this region. So these 2 regions, I don't know if it's about the terrain. I don't know. But this region has been impossible for the jihadists to capture in Burkina Faso. They are not even coming close to capturing the place. So it's a question of how much lives are they ready to sacrifice for this region. So even when you look at the military operation going on in Burkina Faso, If it's just a terrorist organization that was being organized by some local individuals within Africa, it would have stopped. It would have stopped completely. Where would they get the logistics from? Where will it come from? But it's because this is something that is sponsored from outside. So that's why you have the back and forth. That's why you might delete 150. You've seen Niger talk about deleting something in the north of 100, but you still have bodies coming back just to end up being put in a body bag once more. So now that is another information coming from Burkina Faso. Now, according to further information, there have been multiple airstrike bombardments that have been recorded in the Suru region still. So, what do I think about that information? Probably there's a possibility that after this particular operation, there were some that fled, and the Burkinabe air capabilities, maintained surveillance, and maybe wherever they went to fall back to, everywhere goes boom. So I think that is a possibility. So, and to talk about the KIA in Burkina Faso is impossible because sometimes the attacks is scattered. I'm talking about, okay, there is a sort of offensive by the jihadists on the troop defensive location. As the troops are defending, multiple airstrikes is coming in to, alleviate the situation of the troops. Now the jihadists back off. Now you have multiple air components looking out for the jihadists where they are falling back to, where they are going to, and before you know it, multiple casualties. But how do you pick up those casualties? Some are being knocked out many distance away from the line of contact as they continue to run. Some run on foot, some are going with their motorcycles, some are taking directions that they don't even, I don't think those directions are planned directions. So we now have an information coming out of Mali. According to information, Mali has now inaugurated a place called House of Traditional Authorities. According to information, Prime Minister Abdoulaye Maiga said the facility will serve as a dedicated space for one, resolving community conflicts, two, making major decisions for the community, three, transmitting ancestral knowledge to younger generation. That's a very good one right there. Transmitting ancestral knowledge to younger generation. Okay? Benin invites Niger, Burkina Faso for joint military operation. That's not true. That's not true. So it's a space where one rules without humiliation, where one reconciles without dividing. Maiga emphasized. So I think that development is a very great development towards building, a very good brotherly, environment among the citizens. I think Mali and Burkina Faso and Niger, they are progressing at their pace. There is a pace. So they are progressing at their pace. Now, the progression would have been greater than this. But don't forget, there are some existing debts that Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger were owing right from the democratic regime. And what the military now they are paying back the debts, trying to get out of those debts. I'm talking about overall external debts. Okay? Burkina Faso IMF loan is about I think going towards $400 million, which is not something huge, compared to some countries that have about 3.6, some countries that have 6 point something. Egypt is the leader among all the countries in Africa. So Burkina Faso has about 400. I think Mali has something in that region. I don't know for Niger. I didn't really check about the IMF loan that Niger is still owing, right? So, is it a bad situation? No, because the debt was greater than this before. So it is from 2022 up until now, the debt have been reducing drastically. And there are always interests attached to these loans. That is why you see that sometimes when some projects are being carried out in Burkina Faso, the authorities, like, they tell the citizens to contribute, right? It is because there is a lot of things that has to be done. These countries, for me, I think they are getting built up from the scratch. When you go to some places in Burkina Faso, most especially the villages, it's like development have just started. I will put it at that. But if a country was so terrible at a certain time when a certain foreign state was present within that country, to the point that they had less than, is it 3,000 kilometers of road or whatever? 410 million for Niger. Thank you so much. So when you look at their IMF loan, these are the lists you have in Africa. These are some of, okay, I think Zimbabwe has less. Okay, but these are some of, like, top 5 in Africa lists. Now, when you look at Zimbabwe as a country, Zimbabwe has, they've been on this road of sovereignty for a long time since Mugabe. Goita came in 2021. And I think there was a time he gave up power to the civilian authorities that continue to, the level of criminality that, in fact, the civilian authorities, they came back with a vengeance. That was what led to the second coup d'etat. See, we live in a very dangerous territory in this Africa. In Nigeria, right? When I hear that our government borrows some amount of money, I will sit down and I will tell myself, this money does not belong to anybody, it belongs to the politicians. Like, they are borrowing this money for themselves because the figure is so small. I'm talking about billions. I'm talking about billions of dollars. It's so small compared to what these people are capable of stealing. You've heard one man steal $20 billion in Nigeria now. Yeah. You've heard trillion of naira. Trillions. And when you talk about trillions in Nigeria, I think they broke that record in 2016. Or maybe less than that. And the record continued to climb up to now. So when you have nations like Burkina Faso that are gradually developing, what we know is that we voluntarily support what is going on in Burkina Faso. I am a Nigerian. Nobody is coming to get me to tell me, oh, come and support my country. No. I made a conscious decision to support them. It's not like they are perfect. No. Nobody said that. So this is how I start my address on this particular conversation that is going on. That there is an exaggeration of Burkina Faso's success by the people. Now, as some people Are there people that are exaggerating Burkina Faso success? Yes, sir. There are people. We are seeing a lot of AI channels out there. In fact, these people lie about Burkina Faso. Yeah, there are AI channels that have been dedicated. So when some people do some things sometimes, I ask myself, why are you doing this? Because it's beyond the level of foolishness at that point. So now I don't know why they are doing it, but what I would say to that effect is, whichever reason why they are doing it is down to them. You have smart people, okay, and you have not so smart people. But it is not written anywhere that the not so smart people should not support the movement in Burkina Faso. Let me tell you something. I have said it on my Telegram channel once upon a time, that even the propaganda channel, right? The positive propaganda channel, I am going to give a thumbs up to them. Do you know why? Because there is a negative propaganda coming from outside. So if there are whatever reason, we are not going to, we're not going to do no propaganda here. We give the legitimate information. But if you look at the level of warfare, and a lot of people don't know that propaganda is a warfare too. There was a time we heard that a young Burkinabe launched an AI video that created chaos in France, to the point that an African president had to call Emmanuel Macron that I hope everything is okay. Right? Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much, family. So I think is aura for aura. We give the special military operation updates, and to an extent, the diplomacy that is going on, and to an extent, the development going on. Like I've said a lot of time, that if you want to see the development going on in Burkina Faso, at least the ones that I know, you can go to True Mamle's channel. I've said that a couple times here. Official Survivor Media. These are people that I know that they don't sensationalize it, they don't tell lies, they give it as it is. I stopped posting bodies of KIA enemies on this platform because, I was being censored. I was getting zero value for my hard work because, I even got a warning at a point. Yeah. I got a warning for posting the body evidence of the military success. The military success in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger is undeniable. But, what they want you to say is that everything going on in Burkina Faso is unsuccessful. Thank you so much, brother. They want you to say that everything in Burkina Faso is upside down. If Professor Inyamesi can have his asset frozen because he is supporting the Alliance of Sahel States, then you know that there is problem. They recently gave him a position in Mali, I think. They froze his asset. So you should know that this is real. Natalie Yam's asset was frozen completely because he was supporting the Alliance of Sahel States. But if you say everything is turning upside down, they are going to support you. That is just the thing. So there are few real people that have decided to stand their ground, regardless of what happens. People who are prepared for the worst. Not everybody is prepared for the worst. Not everyone has that luxury. So the people that are saying that things are being exaggerated, there is a possibility that things are being exaggerated. I don't care about those who exaggerate things. It depends on where you go to get your own information. Not every channel is credible. Period. Like I said, I think people that attended my live some days ago, I said that there is a particular military success that happened, and the image received was from a very old video. I called it out here. So on the Android community, we don't send anybody. We give the legitimate information of what is happening. Clear detail. You don't see the image twice. You don't see the bodies twice. So for me, the people that are exaggerating, it is their business. And exaggeration is a personal decision. The Nigerian that spoke, right? My information for him is, number one, I will not even talk about him in detail because it comes from one of the worst moral background in Nigeria. One of the worst. And that is why you see that they shamelessly engage. When it comes, they see everything as banter. Look at what recently happened on the internet recently in Nigeria. People that are supposed to be focused on the problem that are supposed to be focused on the terrorism going on in Nigeria. These people are supposed to be focused. The whole Nigeria situation is turning upside down. They are going banter for banter to the point where somebody lied that she oh man, Nigeria is a shame. See, look, it's not shameless, it's shameful. Lie that she has committed suicide in Nigeria. The whole country, almost turned upside down, because that is what majority of the youth concentrates on. They don't understand what geopolitics is. So when they see that people talk about other people better than they talk about them, they try to go at those people. So for anybody, it's envy that will make you sit down somewhere and say that, oh, Burkina Faso, people are exaggerating what is going on there and all of that. Burkina Faso is a developing country. They never said that they are at the level of the US. This is not a competition for them. I have seen a Burkinabe who was bantered by a Nigerian before, online. Heavily bantered. I was just watching behind the scene. I wanted to see the reaction. I wanted to enjoy the exchange. And the first thing the Burkinabe said, you can only translate it through the translator on Twitter, the language translator. The Burkinabe said, Burkina Faso is not in a competition. We are not competing with anybody. We are moving at our pace. If you like, you can run. If we like, we can crawl. But surely, we know where we are going to. Best answer for foolish people. I am a Nigerian. But why am I proud of Burkina Faso? Why is anybody not asking that question? I am a Nigerian, and I'm one of the best Nigerians out there. Anything people, my certificate, I came out with a first class honor. So I can proudly say I am one of the best Nigerians out there. I work in one of the best hospitals in Nigeria. So there is nothing anybody can come and tell me about this country that I don't know. So it's so shameful when some Nigerians come out and they begin to talk down on other. That's the only thing. And those people that are talking down, they don't belong. They don't belong in that club of the best. They don't. They are not there. They are not there. They are not there. When you are talking about the gifted ones in this, they are not there. The internet warriors, they are not there. Not every Nigerian is smart. Don't get it twisted. You are supposed to be talking about how to address the terrible, a morbid, like A morbid political situation you have in your country. You are focusing on Burkina Faso. You are talking about what is going on in Burkina Faso. Some people are exaggerating. Is that your business? Is that the 200 people that were killed in Wuru local government? Huh? So when they don't, if you look at their leaders, their military leaders, their political leaders, they always want to put their blame on other people. Say that, oh, and the terrorists that were captured, some of them are speaking French. I have not seen in one single video. I am well informed as long as this country is concerned. I have not seen one video where a captured terrorist was speaking French. They are speaking pidgin. There is a video I did not drop on Telegram. I'm going to drop it immediately after this live session. They were speaking pidgin. They captured a lady and tied her to a tree. We've shown so many videos on Telegram where terrorists are flogging Nigerians on the floor like animals. What were they speaking? They were speaking Hausa language. Some of them speak the Fulani language. Now, when you hear the testimonies of people that have been freed after heavy ransom had been paid, they will tell you that some of these terrorists speak English, that they speak all type of language within Nigeria. And it's not one person. No. They've employed people from different ethnic groups. So, regardless of who you are as a victim, if you want to speak whatever language, they will and bring out someone they've employed. It's a syndicate. It's a big organization. It's a multi-million naira. It's a multi-billion naira organization in Nigeria now. You have people catching victims and asking for 40 million, 100 million, 200 million, depending on how valuable they think you are. These are Nigerians that are committing this crime. There was the first kidnapper that we knew in Nigeria in my own generation. They call him Evans. Shuku something. He built some sort of very huge apartment in Magodo Shangisha in Lagos here. Magodo phase 1. That was where he built his apartment. His worth was in billions of dollars. This one kidnaps some of the greatest politicians in Nigeria. He has killed a lot of people. No Nigerian can lie about Evans here. Is he a Fulani or an Hausa? But you have these people wanting to put all their blame. The blame for, instead of them to tell themselves the truth. Incompetence, gross incompetence, gross misconduct. No, they won't do it. They won't do it. When Okonjo-Iweala was contesting for the president of the World Bank, you had Buhari saying we will press all the buttons necessary to make sure she emerges. Do you know the meaning of that button? Nigeria is a corrupt country. When they tell you they want to press button in Nigeria, they want to use illegal ways to get there. I was like, why are you saying this to disgrace or disreputate this woman? This woman is already Okonjo-Iweala is one of the best in Nigeria that has ever been produced in this country. The only thing they understand in this country is corruption. But the defense minister, the now defense minister, once said that they want to build a border, right, between Nigeria and the Sahel. My question is, why has that border not been built? The Boko Haram, they are from the Kanuris. Those are Nigerians. Terrorism is all over the place in Nigeria. The number of terrorists in Nigeria, I don't think any country in this Africa can survive it. The greater the population, the greater the terrorists. That's what we are seeing now. And Look at those 170 people that were captured. 170, I think 74 that were captured in Wuru. You have little kids among them, several males. What do you think is going to happen to those kids? They are going to train them. They are going to radicalize them. They are going to marry the women. The women they captured are going to reproduce for them, and those kids are going to be given rifles. They are going to be, built up to become extremists, and they are going to become a problem. And they are going to become a problem. So I don't see a victory on site for that country called Nigeria. I don't see I don't see let them go and bring all the country on the all the country. I don't see a victory. I don't see a victory. The only way you have a victory in this country is to carry out a military operation that give you the result that is closer to a genocide. That is when you can have a victory. To kill terrorists in this country, you have to go beyond a 1 million KIA. I can promise anybody. To stop terrorism in Nigeria, you have to record a 1 million KIA on the board that is evident that people can see. Do you know how many you have to kill? That means you have to go beyond 600,000. That is how much terrorists you have in this country. What did the foreign media say? They said the terrorists in the Sahel, when you estimate them, they're about 5,000, right? In Nigeria, you have to have 1 million KIA. Nigeria is we're about 300 million. Do you know how much we are in this Nigeria? A country of over 300 million people. I said for you to even say, okay, we've been able to score 40% advancement on terrorism in Nigeria, you will have 1 million KIA on the board. Clean kills. Lieutenant Lance Corporal Emmanuel said, if Nigeria wants to end terrorism, the president should tell the army, go and find and kill the terrorists. That was what Lance Corporal Emmanuel said. Lance Corporal Emmanuel said the president should give the order that the soldiers should start taking out the terrorists and not rehabilitate. Don't stand down and wait for orders until you engage. Go ahead, find them, neutralize them. According to him, he said the troops know where they are, but there are no orders to engage. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can weigh the balance. So, what I'm going to say at this point is, to those who want to get credible information about the Sahel, True Mamle is one of them. Official Survival Media is one of them. There's this other platform. Very, very credible. Okay? There are some of these platforms that are a mix of Pan-Africanism and legitimate journalism. Okay? So there are some that are Pan-Africanists. So what we are is a combination of credible reporting and Pan-Africanism. We don't have any business with it. Panagenius TV. Yes, thank you so much. That's another good channel. That's another good channel. That's another good channel. Africa Today is also another good channel. But any channel that is AI, you see any AI updates? No, don't do it. And there are some platforms that they try to box you into that corner to make you think they are good, and in 1 second they say things like Senegal is not like those AAS people or AAS supporters that call themselves Pan-Africanism and all of that. Anybody that throws any dark thing into this movement, I don't see them as anything. I don't take the argument of Tuntun for granted. I don't take it for... Look, everything Tuntun said, I have not forgotten, and I won't forget. We are not the type of people that take these great leaders. We don't take them for granted. We don't joke with them. Go and if you are a citizen of the United Kingdom, go and stand, go and love your leader. If you are a US citizen, go and love Donald Trump. Go and embrace him. We love our leaders, and whatever we do it for them because they are good leaders. The leader of Zimbabwe too is a real one. We do this for the greatness of Africa. Donald Trump wears this red hat, make America great. Yeah, but go and make your country great. We are making Africa great. That's why we are here. So I want to appreciate everyone for coming back. I want to say thank you. I want to say we appreciate you. And for those who are still in denial that um that Burkina Faso made a deal with the United States, I think I've been able to clarify that it was not the United States coming in to pay $147 million. The share of US in that contract is about $24 million. Burkina Faso carries the heavy weight of the financial, contribution, almost paying everything. So, I mean, that is what it is. Burkina Faso is going to be the one in charge of data collection. Burkina Faso is going to be the one in charge of. Look, there is nothing going anywhere. So, for those that are still in denial, it's all good. We did not plan to isolate ourselves. There is a point you get to economically and in every way that you can say, okay, I can decide to do whatever. But at this time, Burkina Faso wants investments. Burkina Faso wants investors. This movement is a youth movement. It's a movement to create opportunities for the youth. It is not making decisions that sabotage the interest of the youth. It's about the youth. Create better life for people in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso wants you to invest. Should in case you feel like you want to invest, in case you want to invest in Burkina Faso is a free place. In fact, I don't know if you can get in contact with Burkina Faso authorities. I can even beat my chest that they can give you, as long as you want to create job and you want to develop Burkina Faso, they can even give you free land to develop their country. Because what you are doing is you are adding value to the country. So Burkina Faso is not docking anything value, but it's value that does not undermine their sovereignty and their independence, as long as it's a win-win partnership. So that's what time it is in Burkina Faso. Thank you, and God bless you.